What's good, guys? It's your boy Nico Talks Football, back with another video after Real Madrid have beaten Barcelona 2-1 in El Clasico and now go up 5 points in the league table. Look, I think Real Madrid deserved to win the game today, no doubt. Barcelona didn't show as much fight, and Real Madrid, they came out, they played with more intensity, and they created more chances, and they exposed Barcelona in certain areas. So I think obviously Real Madrid were the deserved winners, but it's not as if Barcelona had a terrible game, but obviously, in my opinion, they weren't at the level of Real Madrid. Game started off with a questionable penalty decision with Vinicius Jr. gets fouled by, they said he got fouled, Lamine Yamal fouls Vinicius Jr. inside the box, and the referee initially gives it as a penalty and then goes back to VAR and overturns the decision. In my opinion, I think that's not a penalty. I think Lamine Yamal does a good job to put himself ahead of the ball, and Vinicius Jr. just ends up kicking Lamine Yamal. It's not as if Vinicius Jr. doesn't do anything wrong, but also, in my opinion, Lamine Yamal doesn't do anything wrong. He puts himself in front of Vinicius Jr. He puts his body in between Vinicius Jr. and the ball, and that's what you're supposed to do as a defender. So, in my opinion, correct decision, no penalty. After that, Mbappe ends up hitting a phenomenal goal from Mbappe outside the box volley, first time volley into the back of the net, side netting. That's a phenomenal finish from Mbappe. But in the build-up, the defender gets a touch, which means Mbappe wasn't in offside position, and because a Real Madrid player touches the ball, that means Mbappe's in an offside, so goal overturned. If a Barcelona player had, if that pass had come from a Barcelona player, he would not be offsides because he's not receiving the ball from a Real Madrid player. Simple, but still a great finish from Mbappe. After that, Mbappe did eventually end up breaking the deadlock with a good finish. A great ball. Jude Bellingham picks up the ball in midfield, runs from the right into the midfield, picks out a good through ball, very good through ball by Jude Bellingham into the path of Mbappe, stays on side, and good finish by Mbappe. Nothing really goalkeeper can do. We can talk about Barcelona's high line, which we will talk about in this video, but and then after that, Barcelona do get an equalizer with, they give Real Madrid, Arda Güler gives up the ball deep in his own half. Barcelona capitalizes, I think it's Pedri wins the ball back, gives it to Balde, who then gives it to Rashford, and Rashford with a beautiful cross finds Fermin Lopez. Fermin Lopez with a beautiful finish, first time back in the net, 1-1. At that point, I was like, Barcelona got back in the game. This is what they needed. They needed a goal to get back in the game, and maybe we were going to see Barcelona end up, I thought I was going to see maybe a closer, it was a close game, but I thought Barcelona was going to really take on from there and end up winning the game, but that unfortunately did not end up happening. But still a good finish from Fermin Lopez and a very good goal from Barcelona. Right before halftime, I think this game, if we go 1-1 into halftime, it ends up being different, but obviously that didn't happen. Cross into the box. Before that, though, a very important event happens. Pedri ends up tugging the shirt of Vinicius Jr. Very smart foul by Pedri. He tugs the shirt and gets the yellow card, which is a very tactical foul, but in my opinion, a very correct decision. But unfortunately, he gets the yellow card, but a goal still ends up coming from that play, which is the worst case scenario. After that, they end up playing a ball into the box. It gets sprayed out wide somehow, and then another ball comes in from the left-hand side. Goes over to Militao, who then heads it back across goal, and Bellingham is there unmarked, easy tap in, and it's 2-1 to Madrid. And that, obviously, it's Barcelona mistake there. They left Bellingham unmarked. No one was marking him. I think it's De Jong's responsibility, but those are just the tactical mistakes that end up making the difference in these games that Barcelona did not pay attention today defensively, and that's what cost them. Then into the second half, obviously no goals in the second half, but it's still a very entertaining game. I thought second half, Real Madrid kind of, obviously they pushed more to the defensive side because they were already up a goal. And Barcelona were more in control, but still Real Madrid still had a very lot of chances in the second half, and they were still very dangerous. And they could have easily scored more against Barcelona, but finished 2-1. Over on the game, I thought Real Madrid obviously deserved to win, but I thought Barcelona controlled the game in terms of possession, but in terms of the game as a whole, I thought as if Real Madrid controlled the game through the whole 90 minutes. And what I mean by that is, even though Barcelona had the ball, Real Madrid still, even out of possession, I still felt as if Real Madrid was in control because their defensive shape was good. Barcelona had virtually no chances in the second half. In the first half, Ferran Torres had a good chance, and that's all I can really remember, but I feel as if Barcelona had no chances and Real Madrid were in control because they were having chances and Barcelona really couldn't generate anything going forward. They were just passing the ball backwards, sideways, and backwards and sideways. So I thought Real Madrid really, at any time through the game, I didn't feel, especially in the second half, as if Barcelona was going to get another goal and maybe push for an equalizer and push for the winner. So in the end, it really was all the passing and possession of Barcelona proved to be, it was kind of useless. Now let's get into the players. I have a lot to say about these players. Overall, in terms of individual performance from a lot of these players, I don't think it was bad. I thought a lot of these players actually played decent. But when they combined as a whole, they really, no chemistry, especially in the final third, no fluidity in the final third, and no chances created by the top three, the front three. Start with Szczesny. I thought Szczesny, one of Barcelona's best players today, kept Barcelona single-handedly in the game, made a phenomenal save on the Mbappe penalty. Usually on the penalties, you see keepers make the save when it goes low. That penalty actually was up, like near upper 90, upper corner, and Szczesny still put his arm out and made the save, which, in my opinion, phenomenal save from Szczesny on that. And he also made some other big saves in that game that kept Barcelona in it. So overall from Szczesny today, I think very good and one of Barcelona's best players. Then we move on to the fullbacks. Start with Balde. I thought Balde was good today. Maybe not as special as he was in the last game against Olympiacos, but going forward, maybe not a big of a threat defensively. I don't think he played bad defensively, even though Madrid had a lot of chances. I don't think that was necessarily Balde's fault, but overall, not bad from Balde, but maybe I would have expected a little bit better. Then we move on to the two center backs, Cubarsí and Eric Garcia. Start with Eric Garcia. I thought solid game from Eric Garcia, made some very good tackles, but in the end, I can't really say that it was of individual's fault for the goals, except for De Jong didn't mark Bellingham. That's the only player that had an individual fault for a goal today, because the first goal by Mbappe was really a whole defensive line as a whole that made the mistake, which is not one player, it's the whole line. So in all, I thought Eric Garcia played a good game today. Very good clearances, especially. Cubarsí, I was surprised by Cubarsí. He played a pretty good game as well, not bad. His passing was good and his defensive recoveries, his pace in the back recovering was pretty good. Move on to Koundé. This is where he was the worst defender for Barcelona today by far. Koundé, he was the worst player on the pitch. I mean, Koundé was terrible today. Worst player on both teams. I honestly think I could put in a better shift than Jules Koundé today. Because defending, I can't defend Vinicius Jr., but neither could Koundé. So it really makes no difference, me and Koundé out there. Koundé couldn't even make a 5-yard pass to Lamine Yamal. He couldn't make a 5-yard pass into the midfield. He couldn't make 5-yard passes backwards. He couldn't even make passes. So listen, Koundé right now, I don't know what's going on, but I struggle to see Koundé in these. I've been seeing Koundé the whole season, and I'm struggling to take into mind how a player can drop off in form this much. From last season, Koundé being the top 2 right back in the world, and this year he's not even cracking the top 20. When you see Koundé, especially in this season, I mean, I'm thinking to myself, how is this guy a professional footballer? Because he can't play. Not only has he been defensively poor, his passing, going forward, he's been non-existent. His passing, he can't find people down the line, Lamine Yamal, like he was last year. His runs are non-existent. His crosses are non-existent. So I really don't know what's going on with Jules Koundé, but it's really sad because, I mean, playing for FC Barcelona and at this quality that Jules Koundé is, because he's a very talented player, but I don't know if he's not focused. I don't know what the problem is, but it looks like right now he's more focused on his outfits that he's going to post on Instagram later, rather than his footballing ability and his ability to be a professional. He looks like he doesn't really care out there. Now we go into the midfield. Had a midfield of Pedri, De Jong, and Fermin Lopez today. Overall, I thought as a midfield whole, I thought they didn't do bad, but in my opinion, it was very they were playing very it was either they weren't playing as a connective unit in the midfield. It was just either Pedri was bringing the ball up or De Jong was bringing it through the midfield. And for me, they weren't connecting with each other. It was just either one of them was getting the ball and just giving it out wide or backwards. So De Jong today, though, I thought solid performance from De Jong. Not one of his best ones, though. I thought he was the worst out of 3 midfielders, in my opinion, today out of Barcelona. Decent performance, but going forward didn't really provide much. And then it was his fault for Bellingham's goal. So overall from De Jong, average. Then we move on to Pedri. It's difficult with Pedri because there were moments in this game where Pedri was like, he did some really good things, but there's also moments where it was like he made some bad decisions. Overall, I thought Pedri was pretty good, but his touch was really, really bad today. Control, his touch going forward, like for instance, when he got the red card in the last minute of the game, he does so well to get past 2 or 3 players in the midfield. He gets past Tchouaméni, Camavinga in like 1 touch. And then his second touch takes him so forward that he runs into the defender and has to end up sliding and makes a bad challenge, and it's red. But like, in that play sums it up all, where he made a phenomenal touch, but then he made an error right after. So that's what I think was the problem with Pedri today. He was doing a lot of good things, but also his touch wasn't there either. But overall for Pedri, I thought he did control the game well, I would say. I thought he was, in that last half an hour where Barcelona were dominating, I thought everything was going through Pedri, and he was giving all the balls out wide to Lamine Yamal and Rashford. So overall from Pedri, not the greatest performance, but I thought he was still very good, like doing some things that very helped Barcelona. Barcelona without Pedri today, I thought, doesn't go anywhere either. I mean, they didn't go anywhere regardless, but without Pedri, it would have been a whole lot way worse. Then we move on to Fermin Lopez. I think Fermin Lopez was Barcelona's best player, outfield player today. Not apart from the goal though, because if you look at it, Barcelona's chances today, they had a Ferran Torres chance in the first half, and then they had a couple counter-attacking chances that ended up in shots that were straight at the keeper, but all those chances that were counter-attacks came from Fermin Lopez. In the second half, he takes the ball brilliantly from Carreras or something. He takes the ball from one of the midfielders, then dribbles at Carreras, beats Carreras, so he beats like two guys in the process, carries the ball all the way from the midfield up to Real Madrid's box, and ends up having a shot on goal. The shot goes straight at Courtois, but I mean, he created that chance all on his own. And in the end, he should have played that ball to Rashford or Lamine Yamal on either side. In my opinion, the right decision there was to shoot. He just didn't end up finding the corner. I mean, he did everything right except for finish. So in my opinion, and there was another instance in the first half where he did the same thing, where he found the space, drove into Real Madrid's back line and ended up shooting, but it went straight into Courtois' hand. And then he also had the goal, which was a great finish. And then his energy, showed great energy. Look, I think the reason Fermin was Barcelona's best player today is because he was so dangerous. He was the only one causing danger to Real Madrid's back line. He was running at them and really giving them. He was their biggest threat in my opinion. So for me, Fermin Lopez ends up being the best player for Barcelona in my opinion. Although many might not agree, but I think so. Then we move on to Rashford on the left. I would say Rashford, along with Fermin Lopez, maybe a little bit, not as much, but the most threatening Barcelona player in this game. First half is plushy. Second half, Rashford's performance kind of fell off, but in the first half, Rashford was the only attacker doing anything for Barcelona. There was an instance in the first half where he did very good to win a couple of fouls in transition, got Fede Valverde a yellow card. So Fede Valverde had to play the whole game with a yellow card because Rashford drew that card. So very good from Rashford there. And in the first half, he was the one making the runs. He was the one getting the ball, coming short and beating players one-on-one. So overall, not bad from Rashford, but first half better, and it kind of fell off in the second half. Then we move on to the right winger, Lamine Yamal. It's difficult to talk about Lamine Yamal in this game because if we have to break this game into stages, unfortunately. The first 70 minutes, Lamine Yamal just didn't do anything. It's not as if he was terrible, although he was in instances. He was giving the ball away very, very easily and very cheaply without thought. He wasn't even thinking. He was just like, let me pass there and then air and pass. It's like he was playing with like no urgency. He didn't really show any care out there. So that's what I think. Like, it's not a terrible performance from Lamine Yamal, but then again, he didn't take. What is a right winger or a winger supposed to do? Supposed to make runs in behind. They're supposed to take their defender on one-on-one. They're supposed to be creating chances, and they're supposed to take their defender after taking their defender on. They're supposed to create shots for themselves. Lamine Yamal didn't have a single shot today. I don't know how many dribbles he did have, but he didn't have dribbles one-on-one. More of his dribbles came when he was going in between people rather than beating them one-on-one. He didn't create any big chances. So overall, when you look at Lamine Yamal's performance, and I'll talk about the last 30 minutes, but for the first 70 minutes, because the game was 100 minutes today, for the first 70 minutes, Lamine Yamal was non-existent. Or 65, whatever. Then we go into the last 30 minutes. In my opinion, Lamine Yamal was the best player on the pitch in the last 30 minutes. He was. Because he showed urgency. When you saw Lamine Yamal in the last 30 minutes, he was getting the ball on the right. He was taking on his defenders. He was going through the gaps. He was looking for the passes in between the gaps. He was playing the 1-2. There was an instance in the second half where he plays the ball into Ferran Torres, and he keeps on running. And every Real Madrid player is literally surrounding Lamine Yamal, but he's still. It was like watching Messi in that play. So like when you see Lamine Yamal in the last 30 minutes, you're like, where's this guy been the whole game? Because in my opinion, last 30 minutes from Lamine Yamal, he was the best player on the pitch out of anybody. He was sensational in my opinion with his ability to cause danger to Real Madrid. So, but overall from Lamine Yamal, when we look at it overall, it's just not good enough. Like, yeah, you had a good last 30 minutes, but it's not the Lamine Yamal that we want to see that we saw last year. So I don't know if it's what's going on outside the field. Obviously, there's problems with Lamine Yamal right now. He's not focused. We can see he's not focused. For me, Lamine Yamal just has to maybe take another break. 2-week break, because I don't know if he's still fit, because he is coming back from an injury, so I don't know if he's healthy or not. So for me, Lamine Yamal really has to reevaluate his ability and come back and really try to be himself again, because right now this is not the Lamine Yamal we need. And maybe this might be a crazy thought, but maybe he is just missing Rafinha. I mean, people always care to say that Rafinha needs Lamine Yamal, but I mean, Lamine Yamal also needs Rafinha, because Rafinha was creating a lot of chances for Lamine Yamal last year. And apart from, it's not only Rafinha, it's just other attackers. When you have Rafinha in there, you take the attention away from Lamine Yamal. Too, because Rafinha is such a dangerous player with his goals and assists. When you have Rashford out there, when you see Real Madrid, they aren't really worried about Rashford. They aren't really worried about Ferran Torres. You saw their focus today. All of them wanted to just pressure Lamine Yamal. They all wanted to defend Lamine Yamal. They weren't worried about any other Barcelona player. They were just worried on stopping Lamine Yamal. When you have Rafinha on the left, they shift focus a little bit, because they're like, hold on, we don't always have to worry about Lamine Yamal. There's also Rafinha on the left, who gave us so much danger last year. He had like so many goals against us last year. So that's what I think, by adding like a player like Rafinha or even Lewandowski, you kind of take the shift away from Lamine Yamal. And today, everyone was focused on Lamine Yamal, which he really wasn't allowed to do much. Then we move on to Ferran Torres. My opinion, Ferran Torres, a lot of people will bash him, and yes, he did miss that chance. Should he be doing better? Yes, but you have to understand, Ferran Torres' hold-up play today was phenomenal. When he had the ball back to goal, and he was sending it off for Fermin Lopez to Rashford, he was laying it back to Lamine Yamal. He did it so many times. I thought he did that phenomenally. The only problem is that's the only thing he did phenomenally. Everything else, he was kind of average from Ferran, and he kind of did nothing. He was kind of useless apart from that, because you want him to finish his chances, and he didn't do that today. And also runs in behind, really non-existent. So overall for Ferran Torres, average, but I thought his hold-up play was really good. Move on to the subs. I don't even remember who we brought on. We brought on Casado, brought on Gerard Martin, brought on Araujo. And that's about all I can remember for now. Look, Araujo, my opinion, Araujo should be starting this game along with Christensen. Bench Kubarsi. I don't think Kubarsi's been good this season. Christensen wasn't available for this game, actually, through illness. However, the starting back four for Barcelona for the rest of the year, for the rest of the 2024 calendar year, or 2025, up until January, in my opinion, unless they end up making, like, try this, and then if it doesn't work and they end up making mistakes, we can talk about it. Balde, Araujo, Christensen, Eric Garcia on the right back, Araujo, Christensen, center back, Balde, left back. That should be the back line for Barcelona, no excuses. And I'll talk about the high line later in this video. Gerard Martin did nothing. Casado, I couldn't even remember. Alright, that's about all for the players, but now it's time to talk. The end of the video, I'm going to talk about Barcelona's structure in this game, the formation, the tactical analysis, the structure. Barcelona, in the last 20 minutes of this game, had no structure. You saw Casado and De Jong playing center backs. You saw Araujo playing striker. You saw Lamine Yamal playing like a defensive mid. You saw Fermin Lopez out on the right. You saw Pedri playing like Pedri was like playing in his position. But that's what I saw. So you're playing two midfielders center back. You have Araujo up front. You have Lamine Yamal roaming, playing defensive mid. You have Fermin Lopez out on the right. What is that structure? You're about FC Barcelona. I understand you're trying to get a goal, but you have to play with structure. You can't just throw 11 players. You have 11 players, just throw them out on the field. Oh, you go play center back. Oh, I'm going to play defensive mid, put him striker. Look, this is professional football. This is this is the biggest game in football. And you have no structure. You're trying to get a goal. That's not you're going to get a goal. You got to get a goal playing the right way. So in my opinion, that when I saw that, I was like, what's wrong with Barcelona right now? If you look at any team in the world and you say which team would have structure, you'd think it'd be FC Barcelona, who like to play the right way with passes, with tactical formation, with structure, with a 4-3-3. I mean, this team's a mess. The last 20 minutes today, I couldn't even watch. It's such a mess from this team. But now time to address the issue, because the issue today for me, yes, the attack didn't create chances, but that's I think if Rafinha maybe's in there, Lewandowski, maybe we create more chances. So again, we aren't fully fit in the attack. Where we are fully fit is in the defense. And in the midfield, I thought today the midfield was fine. So what is the problem for FC Barcelona? It is the defense. It is the high line. You might say it's a high line. I don't know if it's a high line. In my opinion, what Hansi Flick should do is he should get rid of the high line and have Barcelona just play a regular defensive back, which means they play a defensive four that are lined up right in front of their own box, and they play a midfield four in front of that, and then the front three, midfield three, and then a front three. Look, the high line, it's been exposed the whole year, and we're gonna live and die by the high line. It's kind of known at this point that Hansi Flick he's not getting rid of the high line, which is, unfortunately, if Barcelona want to succeed this year, they're going to have to get rid of the high line. Look, the high line, it's not as if it's bad. In my opinion, Barcelona just gives up too many chances. There were so many chances for Real Madrid today because Barcelona's line was just too high. And it's the reality. Teams have figured it out. It's easy to play against now. They see that the wide areas you can get so many chances if you just play the wide areas. So in my opinion, I mean, that's the only thing I could recommend for Hansi Flick. I want to get on a plane tomorrow, find Hansi Flick and tell him, yo, you're going to get rid of the high line or you're not going to win anything this year, because this high line isn't doing anything. It's not helping you. Unfortunately, he's not going to listen to anybody, and he thinks he's the mastermind, and this high line is going to give him a treble. But that's about all I can say after this game. I think Barcelona overall, I mean, they have been disappointing this season, but I'm not even that mad because, I mean, I kind of saw this coming. Barcelona haven't been good. And when they barely beat Girona, 17th place Girona 2-1, I knew this game was going to be very difficult for Barcelona to win. So I'm not even that mad. This season, I just want to focus on the Champions League. That's the goal that I have for this team. I don't care about La Liga and the Copa. Obviously, it would be good to win those things, but for me, it's more about the Champions League this year for Barcelona. So I'll do it for today's video. Maybe I'll make another video later this week talking about what went wrong and what has to change. But for this video, that is going to be it. And until next time, Nico out.